you know about Association of Indian Management Schools? It's a 34-year-old networking body of B schools in India, having a membership of about 600 top management institutions. AIMS focuses on professionalization of management education, protects interests of B schools, represents management institutions at national and international forums, financially supports members in academic events, funds research projects on management, disseminates management-related knowledge through its annual Management Education Convention, conferences, seminars, roundtables and workshops, organizes free weekly webinars on knowledge sharing and inspiring young leaders sessions for management faculty and students, supports B schools in admissions through Atma, AIMS test for management admissions. Visit https://atmaims.com for more details. Publishes a biannual AIMS Journal of Management. Visit https://aimsjournal.com for more details. Circulates a quarterly e-newsletter on AIMS activities. Conducts workshops on case writing. Encourages AIMS members to be part of decision-making processes as members of chapter management committees and the executive board. Encourages students' participation in free weekly quiz competitions by providing support to interested institutions. Facilitates networking and interaction among B schools. Why would you like to remain a non-member of AIMS? Pay a very low one-time membership fee and enjoy many lifetime benefits. Visit https://aims.org.in for more details.
Okay. Good afternoon, one and all.
I'm Dr. A Adisesha Reddy, Head School of Management Studies, Lakireddy Bali College of Engineering, Mylavaram, NTR District. I welcome all the participants and today's resource person, academicians, and the representatives of AIMS, Business Standard, other dignitaries into this online session. Today we are going to organize one event related to inspiring young leaders session by AIMS, Association of Indian Management Schools. Let me tell a few points related to AIMS. AIMS is one of the voluntary organization and society which is a largest networking body of more than 700 members, including IIMs, ISB, XLRI, other prominent B schools. And it's continuously striving for developing and growing the management education. It's doing so many activities and taking a lot of initiatives like initiatives including the conducting the online programs like knowledge sharing sessions, inspiring young leaders sessions, also encouraging the member institutions and giving the financial support to conduct the workshops and faculty development programs, seminars for the cause of developing the management education. And it is also conducting Atma test, which gives a platform to the graduates to get admission directly into the B schools and even IIMs also. Apart from this, it is striving for strengthening its membership to spread its activities even the remote areas also. And it is conducting a flagship activity of annual convention once in a year and conducting the competitions and announcing the prizes to the winners. This is about a briefing related to the AIMS. Coming to the today's resource person. Fortunately, we have an youngster and the knowledgeable, skilled person today to deliver a content. Mr. Sajan M is from Karnataka. He is the managing director of Turtle Wax is a car care company. The concept on success building an organization ground. This is actually related to what kind of strategies a business organization and entrepreneurs should follow to get a success in the initial days. Coming to the profile of the resource person, today's resource person, Sara has completed a master's in the management studies in USA and also did his graduation all in the Karnataka graduations in as a managing director, as an executive and all, and he proved himself as a successful leader. And he is the man who created a lot of innovations and a lot of different products to meet the customer expectations. Resource person and coming to the today's topic, what kind of business strategies the entrepreneurs have to follow to get a success in the initial days that the resource person is going to cover today. The kind of manpower required and their attitude and the channel partners, kind of technologies required and all those, the live cases is going to present. So with these few words, I would like to hand over the mic to Sajan Murali sir to take up the concept and discuss the issue. Thank you, sir.
Hello, thank you, sir, Dr. Adisesha Reddy, sir, for sort of giving the introduction and giving the background of what I'm going to speak today. And, it's my pleasure to be part of this webinar, and also I understand there are people who've joined this webinar from across the country. Sorry, sir, Dr. Reddy, sir, your network was a little low, so I couldn't hear full of it. But I don't know if it was only me, but maybe I couldn't hear all of it, but I could clearly understand what your organization is doing and how you're sort of adding up value to the management, schools, and education across the country. And it's my pleasure to be part of this event and probably share some of my learnings, real ground learnings. Some of it I've learned it by hard way, but it is always good, and I would always want the rest of all of you, if you're going through the same path, learn from what I've gone through and probably not do those things again, or probably learn from those and do it in a better way, etc. So it's more of learning, of sharing the learning, sharing the sort of understanding and insights I've got in all of my organization journey, but very particularly to the last 5 years of journey I've had in Turtlebags. Before I start and get into the topic straight away, I just wanted to give you a background of why I'm speaking about this. So, as Sir said, this Turtlebags is the US car care brand. It's a 75-year-old car care brand in the US. They've started to form an Indian subsidiary 5 years back, and I was the first employee in India. And of course, I tried to set this subsidiary in India. So I've sort of built this company ground up. 5 years, cut to 5 years, cut to 2024, we are definitely one of the prominent car care brand in the country. I don't know whether you've seen our brand in many cities. If you're in Hyderabad, if you're in Chennai, if you're in Delhi, you would have seen us. So we have now, thankfully, with God's grace and with the right people, we have moved a good amount of ground and come into a fairly better place. So I am going to during this process there was a lot of headwinds like COVID, and then post-COVID, and there's COVID second wave and stuff like that. So there was many headwinds. There was a lot of challenges we faced during this journey, and it was important that you stay resilient, you understand what your right strategy is, learn, unlearn. So all of these processes we had to go through to make this organization successful. It was not alone. I had a good team which sort of supported me in this journey. So it's good I wanted to reflect on what the journey is and probably apply not just my example, but some of those examples we have had in different startup world in terms of what I think are some of those success factors, which is crucial when you build a company ground up, so that you don't really start zero. You really know what are the success factors, chase those success factors, and ensure those are in place so that you are in a better ground when you build a company ground up. So that is the whole objective of today's session. I think the way this is going to run is, I understand that there will be about 30 to 40 minutes of talk, and then probably there could be questions, etc. So I'm assuming this is sort of a monologue which I will talk, and all of you will be listening to this. So I'm starting off with that. So the whole point is, we all know there are a lot of companies which get started up every year. So we see the success of it. We see a Swiggy, we see a Zomato, we see a Flipkart. But what we don't see is 95% of the startups actually fail. Every year. So there are 100 startups which gets registered in every year in the country. There's only 5 which becomes a Swiggy or a Zomato or a Dunzo or any of those successful startups which you see today. 90 of them fail. So what we need to understand, but how do we ensure we have higher success rate when it comes to startup? That is where we need to understand what are those factors as an organization or as an entrepreneur or a CEO we should look for when you build a company. So I'll start with the first one. The first one we need to understand is, we all know how the whole startup idea clicks on. It is in the startup world, we say it is like identifying a pain, identifying a consumer pain, which today's consumer faces, and solve the pain. And that is the sort of idea. That's how an idea gets generated, and that got converted into a startup and builds a company. For example, we all knew 5-10 years back that we didn't know how to book a taxi online. We were always taking either for a full day taxi. We never had a hop on hop off taxi concept. So people were actually paying a lot of money. There was a lot of inconvenience for people traveling from point to point. That was a pain. That pain is the one which got into an idea, which is now Ola or Uber, and then get converted into a startup. And then, of course, then you build the idea into a startup and become a successful startup. So there are different process to it. There is an idea, then the idea gets converted to an execution, it becomes a startup, and then makes the startup successful. And at some point of time, the startup becomes profitable, and then finally it is sustainable and it runs for a longer period of time. That's sort of a product life cycle, the life cycle journey which any startup go through. While many companies, we all know that they have a great idea, they start with the product. What is extremely important is the quality of the product you provide. It might be a great place you are in. You are identifying a need, you are placing a product right on the need, beautiful, brilliant. But are we making sure that you have the right product which sort of drives the consumer loyalty and then sustain that company for a longer period of time? Are you making it a great user experience? Are the consumers which using our product recommending your product again? Do you continuously upgrade the quality of your product? Those are crucial stuff which is important. Why, if you see the most successful companies, they are the ones who actually did all of it. It is in continuous improvement of product. They have a great product, whether it is in service or a manufacturing product or any of those. They have a great product and they continue to build on the product quality rather than just focusing on the need of the consumer or probably building the need which you're catering to the consumer. So the example I can give you is 2 examples I wanted to give you. The first one is, of course, an edtech company. We all know. I don't want to name them because we're in a public forum and it's a webinar, so I don't want to name them. But we all know a $22 billion valuation company has now become $1 billion, and it's almost going down the road. This is an edtech company which is almost signed up big brand ambassador like Lionel Messi. Now look at that organization. They identified a great need. They knew online education, online coaching is a big opportunity. They jumped into the idea. They build the right infrastructure. They build the right, maybe they brought in the right people. They got the right investment. They build the product. But what has happened to them is, over a period of time, the consumer loyalty kept dropping. You see, you use that product once, there are not many people uses it the second time or third time. I hope you all know what the company I'm talking about. And then their journey was always downward, because they focused on sponsorships, they focused on marketing, they focused on every other thing other than the product. So that is why the first success factor is it's just not enough that you can have a great idea. It's just not enough that you have a great investor, you have a great environment and infrastructure. It is important that your product itself should be of great quality, and you have to continuously improve the quality of the product. And that is where that edtech company failed, because they kept losing consumers one after the other, but they went after new consumers. New consumers, you can't cover all the consumers and then not have consumer loyalty, because at some point of time you want to exhaust your consumer base. That is where that entire product failed. And they also, what they did is, instead of focusing on the product, they kept revenue. They started recognizing revenue for future and then build that whole market valuation game without focusing on the consumer experience and the consumer loyalty. And at some point of time, it's bound to fail. And that is what happened to that company. So that's an example of why is it so crucial to keep looking at your product quality and consumer loyalty. The second example that company I can talk about, because they are still there. This is, as you know, this company called Cast 24. So if you look at that startup, They started off with a lot of big fanfare. Over a period of time, their initial model didn't work because they were planning to get all the vehicle brokers into one place, or second-hand vehicle companies to one place, and they start quoting for the second-hand car which a consumer wants to sell. So that initial model didn't work because that entire segment was very fragmented. Their product did not cater to that. They went and opened many stores just to sell the product. There was a lot of marketing investment they made, but over a period of time, they realized that that's not the successful formula. Their product is not doing great, so they brought in a lot of other stuff. They started, taking the hard stuff of paying penalty to the brokers who are not professional, brokers who are not taking up the offer, brokers who are basically fooling them by taking the consumer away and doing a separate side deal there. So they did a lot of those efforts, and over a period of time, they've done themselves, they've done a great improvement on their product, and now they're in a much better place. They shut down all their big stores, which they started, which they realized that it's a technology back-end technology product, and it didn't have to have the it did not have to be a very brick and mortar or heavy marketing investment sort of a place. And that is second example where somebody has done something about a mistake which has happened from a product quality or a product design point of view, and then worked on it and kept moving. The third, of course, the example I can talk about in the same product quality pieces. Us as a brand, we also initially started, we looked at this as one of our key success factor. We started making sure that we get the products only from our best source of US and UK, which is our headquarters, and making sure the consumer who's using our product gets the best experience, which is why our online sale, e-com sale is fairly stable and good, that we never compromise on the quality. We want to make sure the consumer uses our product, recommends our product to his fellow consumer, and that is how it works, right? All of us, whom do we trust? We don't trust the company. We trust your best friend. If your best friend comes and tells you this is a great product, you trust and move. And that is what we wanted to do. I think our consumers should be our brand ambassadors than ourselves. If I, as a company CEO, if I go and tell everyone that my product is the best, not many consumers are going to believe. But if another consumer who uses my product says about my product, that is where it helps. So that is why consumer experience and loyalty is extremely crucial, and that is where it helped us too. So that's point number one. And the second most important and most neglected point is people. What typically happens is you have a startup which you're sort of building the ground up, or if you're in my case, it was more like an organization with subsidiary setting. It was not a startup, but it was starting a company, a subsidiary company in a new country like India. So it is not important that the CEO or the entrepreneur is very aggressive and very sort of daring and fast and agile. It is important that every person you hire in the company sort of vibrates or reflects the same attitude as the CEO of the company. That is important. When you hire people, when I used to hire people, my initial first 10 people, I made sure that I'm hiring people who are fearless to try new things. Somebody who looks for opportunities to drive growth without, of course, compromising the quality. So I always looked for attitude more than the skill, because I knew that skill can be always, we all know it, right? Skill and will. Skill can always be taught, but not will. Will has to come from within you. So if somebody has the attitude, somebody has the right will, I always believed that the skill always can be taught. So I look for high will, average skill sort of people, but I made sure that, and that has been one of our success factors. Our average employee age in this company is about 31, 32. So I made sure that are young, very, very enterprising, success-hungry people who are joining this company, who's driving this company in the same direction as me. So it's important that you get the right sort of skill set people into the company. We say in the corporate world or in the sales world, we say there's a hunter and a farmer. Hunter is someone, as we know, keep going for new opportunities. A farmer is someone both of them does a great job, right? It's not that neither a hunter nor a farmer is bad, but the difference is a hunter is someone who looks for newer opportunities, keeps going hunting, and farmer is someone who keeps farming the same land and try to derive the same result. So we, as an organization or any startup or any company you're building the ground up, you need a hunter, because what typically happens is in a startup, it's very disruptive. You start with something and eventually you'll end up with something else. So you need somebody who can travel through that unknown path. We say the road less traveled, right? So you have to have people who are ready to travel on the road which is less traveled. It is imperative that we have people with that sort of a mindset, the hunter sort of mindset. The example, I mean, globally, we can give different examples, but we know that, for example, Google as a company, if you know, they clearly only hire hunters. They're very clear that they want employees who are sort of ready to fail, ready to drive new projects. Someone who, I don't know whether you're aware, but the employees of Google are judged of how many projects they do and how many projects they fail. So Google always felt that if you don't know what the failure is, you will not know the right success. So there are companies which actually, allows employees to fail. So these are important because this is how an organization is built. Building an organization is not a linear story. It's not a story which is like, all hunky dory. No, in the last 5 years, I myself have gone through many lows and many highs. But we need to have people who are ready to go through the lows and highs and stay with you and grow with you. So that's important. And that's true with any companies which you have seen successful over a period of time. They have the right people with the right attitude and right resilience to build the company through you or with you. The third piece, the most important, I feel, is while many organizations feel that channel partners or the people whom you sign with or your extended arm, which is basically the distributors you deal with, the dealers you adopt, it is important that even when you look for channel partners, you don't look for people who just have money, right, or who just have some reputation in the market. You need to look for channel partners who has appetite for growth, for whom your business is likely to add value. It is not someone who's just adding another business to their overall business portfolio and and he has got lots of money. It has to be a mutually rewarding relationship and someone who does not carry baggages of past. So I'll give you an example that this, I don't know if you are aware, there's a company called No Broker. The owner of that company is a very good friend of mine. When they started, the whole objective is they ensure that there are no brokers who are in their platform. It's a real estate company or someone who helps in identifying, helping selling and buying a home or giving your house for rent. So for them, they were very clear that they would not. They had many options of going to different channel partners who were trying to find different ways of getting the brokers in, but they kept on and ensuring filtering the brokers. They ensuring that their channel partners do not carry on them, and that is how they build that business. Today, it is one of the unicorns in the country, and that is purely because they identified that they need to have the right channel partners who has appetite for growth and also adds value to their business mutually. Another example I wanted to give you is MRF tires. When MRF tires recruits people for their showroom, they have a tire exclusive showroom in each of these districts and cities, as you know. When they hire channel partners, they are very clear that they don't want to hire an existing tire dealer or someone who's already in tires. They are very clear that they wanted to hire a young guy who's want to start his own new business, who's raring, who's hungry for growth. That is only way. If you're a big tire dealer and if you have money, you will not get an MRF tire show. You will only get if you are young, you're ready to go. It's your first business. You want to do something new, and that is the attitude they look for when they identify a channel partner, and that is why they're successful in that franchise. So it's important that you try and look for live channel partners. I'll give you another example of Shell. Shell, you know this, the fuel company, largest fuel company in the world. I worked for them for 8 years. So Shell, when they started their fuel station, they didn't go and recruit a BPCL, fuel port owner or an IOCL fuel port owner. They were very clear that their channel partner should be someone who is bringing that distinctive difference to the brand. As you know, if you go to a Shell fuel station, your experience is very different than the rest of any other fuel stations you go. That is because they have hired people from McDonald's. They have hired people from service industry. They have all their fuel port managers or fuel port owners are people who have experience in running a restaurant or running a service business, because they strongly felt that they need channel partners who understand what service is. And they always felt that the current state or country-owned, government-owned fuel companies did not have that appetite. So they went and recruited people from very different industry, largely the service industry or a hotel, hospitality industry. And that was one of their biggest success. So these are things which you should be clear when you sort of hire a channel partner. The last piece I wanted to talk about on this is you should also important that if you don't have the right channel partner, they could also drive the company backwards. For example, Nokia, when they knew that these changes were happening from a smartphone point of view, and they started launching some of the smartphones, their channel partners discouraged them. So they said, no, look, this will not sell because it has to be the standard Nokia sort of small phones which needs to be done. So they pushed back the products back to the company, and they missed the whole mobile smartphone revolution. And we know where the company Nokia is, which was a numero in the smartphone industry. So typically, because you didn't have the right channel partners, you had people like farmers. I would want to say you had people who didn't want to try new things, and they pushed the company back, and that is where that whole company missed the bus completely, and of course had to finally be acquired by Microsoft for 1/10 or 1/100th of their own peak value market valuation which they had when they were the market leader. So these are things which are important when it comes to channel partners. We need to make sure you have the right channel partner. And this is one piece which I see a lot of companies missing, because they feel we just need the right investor, people who have money, they can be the channel partner. No, money is just one. We say there are 3 C's we look for to become the right channel partner. One is, of course, capital. Without money, you can't be a channel partner of a company. But there are 2 more, right? Capital, commitment, and capability. So you have to make sure that the commitment and capability is as equal as capital. So that is how you sort of recruit channel partners, and that is it's equally important when you sort of hire people. The other most important, this is something which is becoming the imperative quality any company should have in the highly disruptive digital or the new age world. This is agility. I'll tell you again, this being agile or being agile is important, or the most important thing today when it comes to a company's sustainable performance. This is the most talked about topic, but I would say it is less practiced, more talked. That's the way I would put this. Because many organizations, if they had the right agility, would not have got to the stage which they are today in their product life cycle or the company life cycle. So the whole point is you can't be you've got to have the appetite or sort of wherewithal to change your direction if the plan is not working. Be agile. Don't get stuck to one strategy and say, this is my strategy and I will continue to do this come what may. Be sort of open to what is happening outside your world. understand what the consumers are saying about your product, understand what processes you have, are they adding value? If they are not, be agile, try to change it, make sure it is sort of flexible enough that you can incorporate the changes and make sure the company's success is ensured. So these are examples. There are many examples we could talk about. One of the examples I can think about is, which didn't happen, is, for example, Kingfisher as a company. The downfall of that empire is basically because they were not agile. They were not ready to sort of move faster with the change in trend that we knew. They knew that the whole domestic airline industry was falling, but they didn't make changes. They kept on being stubborn about their plan A, and they never brought in a plan B. And they were over passionate about a business which did not make business sense. It did not. It was making losses, and they were eating into their core business, which is the United Breweries. And at some point of time, the United Breweries also got sold because they were never agile. Yeah, and this is important for not for the head of the business. So even employees should have the agility and flexibility as part of their behavior at work. They should be encouraged to be agile and flexible. So, they should not be just told that these are processes you follow, you cannot change it. You should have these sort of accountability and flexibility to change and be agile to suit the organization's needs or the changing organization needs. One example I could talk about is from my own company is we started this company and we started doing retail sales, and suddenly the pandemic came in, the COVID came in, and we didn't have an option. The markets were shut, so we had no option, but we were not sure. We were ready to join, launch e-com only 5 years later as part of our strategy, because we wanted to establish retail. A lot of complaints on e-com, on pricing, etc. But what happened is during pandemic, we didn't have anything else to do. So we started doing e-com and then build that business during that 6 months of us being idle because of the market shutdown, etc. And then eventually e-com is now today is one of our most successful business. So being agile and not being stuck to your, original strategy, which is not delivering results, is of no use. So that is the other point I wanted to talk about from an agility point of view. The last 1 or 2 points is one, the speed, right? So the speed from idea to execution. We all know, an idea is good only if it's executed well. We all have great ideas in our mind, right? How to start a company, what are the new opportunities? All of us have great ideas. Why are they not converting it to a startup? Because we don't convert that idea into a business plan, and business plan to a sort of company building or a company formation level, and then finally execute it and become successful. So it is important that if you have an idea, you should execute in the next 1 or 2 months. Otherwise, that idea will be owned by somebody else. In Silicon Valley, in the US, there's a startup incubator session or startup debates which keeps happening on every month, where a lot of new entrepreneurs come and talk about their idea. So they entertain people to talk about their idea, because they always feel that it is, the idea is only 1 month old or 2 months old. Because if you don't execute your idea, that would be taken by somebody else. We all knew there was a pain in online delivery of food, but only 2 people became successful in executing it, which is like Swiggy and Zomato. Rest of all of us, the another 1 will maybe 10 crore people who knew that is a great pain and we can start them. Another, maybe half of them had money, but they never executed it. So it's important that you have the right speed from an idea to execution. And as with the digital world and the new age, the life cycle between the idea to execution is very short. So even for an organization, there could be smaller ideas your employees are trying. So it's important, like in our case, we encourage people to try new ideas, encourage failures. I spoke about Google. They judge their employees on how many projects they failed. This is important because at least you're executing something. So there is this saying, when you at least execute an idea, you at least has a chance to succeed. If you don't execute an idea, you have zero chance, right? When you execute an idea, you have at least a 5 to 10% chance to 100% chance. But if you don't do anything about it, you are not even having a chance. So it's important that your sort of speed in execution, whether it is an idea of a startup, whether it is idea within the business to improve business, idea of a new project, any of those what you do, it is important that you cut the life cycle on ideation to execution. So this is extremely crucial when it comes to success of an organization. And it's a continuous process. It is not about a great idea being executed. It's about multiple ideas which keeps coming in every year and keep improving on what you have already executed. So that's an ongoing process, and make sure you cut a major speed. The big startups, if you know, all of you know about, some of you must have heard about it. The average time between an ideation to execution is 1 week. So if you start an idea or throw an idea on a Monday, if you're not executing Friday, that idea is no more valid in that organization. So that idea gets cut down. So that is the sort of speed big organizations bring in, or sort of agile organizations, successful big startup organizations. That is the sort of benchmark they build in when it comes to executing an idea within the organization or starting an organization. The other most important piece, which is again why many of the startups, as we know, go through a process, and then finally, it becomes too late for you to survive in the onslaught, and of course, then the company gets shut down or died. So why, if you understand all of them, you know that there were some cash burners, so there were some sore points within that organization which was already there, but they didn't identify them or do one return on investment on your main cash burners and made corrections. So identifying your cash burners, identify verticals within your company which sort of is sucking your working capital or bringing down your working capital. Maybe that sector is very glamorous. Maybe that sector is a big brand booster. But finally, even if it is the most glamorous, or it is pulling the highest brand, if it does not do a ROASI or ROI, return on average capital employed, or return on investment, it does not make sense for that company to continue. And that is where organizations, or even that could be a vertical which is very close to your heart. I'll give you examples of many examples, but one of them is Bajaj. We know Bajaj had scooter business, and then they had bikes. So when they start, and father and son, we had, of course, the father is no more, and you have the son who's running the company. So if you see, they had to stop the scooters, though they were a big cash burner, and that was also not the most successful business, but it had a lot of emotional value in that company. So smart people or smart entrepreneurs realize beyond what is very passionate and interesting about a company, and understand if that is not giving us the right return on investment, it is not a business I want to follow. So they made that bold move of stopping that section and moving to bike business and start making pulsars and the rest of the company. And today it is history that Bajaj, of course, is one of the biggest motorcycle company in the country. But they made that change. They realized that some of their current verticals are not delivering what they should, and they made those bold moves. It did not go down well in that organization because it had a lot of old people who thought Bajaj is about scooters. But then the entrepreneur or the CEO was very clear that that is the way it is going to go, and he believed in his conviction and made that correction. Today, they're very, very successful in building that business. So similarly, a lot of companies which identifies their cash burners and do an ROI and change, some of them don't. And to give an example of, I spoke about Kingfisher. Similar is their case. They had an airline business which were draining money. It was a most glamorous business. It gave the CEO the highest visibility. It had a lot of glamour around it, but it was burning the cash. It was killing the organization in terms of cash and profitability. It was not identified. It was identified, of course, but it was not acknowledged that we have to do anything about it. The then CFO of that company did go to the CEO and say, "Look, we can't be putting all our eggs in this basket, which is drowning." But then it was glamorous, so it was overlooked. The whole financial position was overlooked and was continued. And as I said, the entrepreneur or the CEO lost this entire empire because they didn't do the right correction on either shutting down or selling of the airline business. So these are things which are important when it comes to, the same example of the EdTech company I spoke about. There were many offers throughout the cycle in the last 5 years where they could have spun off or made a lot of correction. Nothing of that was made. And that is how the company, which is 22 billion, has now become less than $1 billion and struggling. So these are, examples where either someone has identified that and made corrections and then moved, or some of them who did not do and then did not and failed as a result of that. So that is important, and this is extremely important as an entrepreneur, a startup, or an organization. Or a company owner who's starting off a new organization, that quickly keep analyzing your verticals, identify your cash burners, and keep doing an return on investment, start making corrections. Bold corrections is important to not being very sort of dispassionate, and can't be passionate about, over passionate about things. Being dispassionate, look at it from a very objective point of view and make those corrections and move. So those are examples I spoke about this aspect. The last but not the least, you also build the right organizational culture. You all know that this is at least in the corporate world, if some of you are in that world, we all know this is the most talked about, and it has got a lot of cliches about building the right organizational culture. Many organizations, from an outside world, when you see from an outside world, it would talk about great officers, great, cafeteria, but nice, beautiful environment, pool table, etc., etc. But if you go into that organization, you realize that it has one of the most toxic organization culture. So, right organization culture is not about external thing. It is not about having the best technology on board, having the best facility on board, having the best office environment. It is not about that. It is about inherent culture you're building. It is not about what an employee is feeling outside. It is about what the employee is feeling inside. I've written an article on LinkedIn about this a couple of months back. I was talking about the same thing, that it is not about fancy offices, etc. It is about what the employees feel about the organization. Does the employee feel when he goes back home? Does he feel empowered by the organization? Does he feel happy about the organization he's built? Does he feel valued? That's the most important thing. That you have to finally, as an individual, all of us have to be valued as a person. That is where we get the highest satisfaction. It is not the money. It is not the position. All of that, all of those are very external in nature. But if you want the right employee behavior, if you want the employee to behave the right way, you have to sort of get into beyond that and ensure the employee is feeling valued. He has trust. The most, again, another cliche word, but it is important to have built trust with an organization. It is mutual. The organization has to build a trust with the employee, and the employee has to have trust in the organization. So it's building trust is extremely important. Build an open culture. What does it mean is that you should not, especially in a startup world, you have to have a culture where, there are many whistleblowers. You should not have, you should not be restricted to call a spade a spade. I would say, something is going wrong. You should be able to point that out and, help the organization correct those mistakes and move on. give independence. I would say give selective independence. We all know sometimes the independence or the count or the flexibility you give sometimes can be misused. So make sure that you give selective independence to people who are capable of. So capability and independence are interrelated. If you give independence to someone who's not capable to handle that independence, then you're making a failure. But if you're giving independence to someone who's looking for independence, who's extremely good at handling independence and managing their business with minimum supervision, please do that, because they will do very well under less supervision, and they will perform horribly under heavy supervision, because they are people who does not want to be supervised, does not like to be supervised, etc. So understand who needs independence and give them, and then make them successful. Of course, make them accountable of their actions. So they should be known that if they are making an action, they are accountable for it. So the other piece I wanted to talk in the same piece is hire capable people. Train them how to do things. So I was talking about the skill and will earlier. Similar, right? You hire people who has this will, but then you can always give them the skill. Many organizations I've seen, they do a lot of micromanagement. They don't teach them how to do it. They tell them, you do this way, and then keep or do it and give it to them and say, continue this and probably this. There are not enough work which has gone in to sort of training somebody from the root. So there's a saying, as give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. But if you teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. So it is about inculcating their skills to them, which will help them perform better, perform under different organizational requirements, and then give them the lifetime skills. They would be happy and happy about the organization. Maybe they would be loyal to the organization, stay with you for long. So these are broadly, something which I wanted to talk about. This topic is sort of long, and it's something which you can talk about for hours, but there's a time restriction. I wanted to make sure all of you I value all of your time, so I wanted to make sure I sort of capsule it in the limited time I've been given. So I think we're almost nearing time. So this is what I wanted to talk about of the factors which sort of we need to look at, or the success factors you look for when you sort of building a startup, and learn from what the mistakes which many startups have done. Some of the mistakes I've done, but finally, these are reasons why an organization can reasonably sure to be succeed in their startup journey. It is still not sure. If you do all this, not necessarily that these are the only. There could be many more challenges, many more success factors or failure factors which come along the way, but it's a good place to start. That is what I thought. I'll share this with you. I hope I've been able to communicate and sort of cut across some points and maybe do some reflections for all of you. If I've done that, maybe I'm happy that I could do the session with all of you. On that note, thank you very much. I hope the session has got some value to all of you, because it's important that you spend close to an hour in the session out of your valuable time. So thank you very much. Over to you, sir. Sorry. Dr. Reddy, are you there? I can't hear. I'm sorry. I can't hear. Dr. Reddy, if you are around, I just wanted to. If there's anything, questions you guys have, I'd be happy to pick it up.
Sir, I think there is a technical issue, sir.
Okay.
1 minute.
Was I audible?
Yes, sir.
Was
Yes,
I-
sir. You're audible, sir. You're
Okay.
audible, sir.
Okay. I was just wondering, my session
No,
didn't.
sir.
Oh,
We are requesting the participants to share any questions. You have any questions, please? So 1 minute, sir. I'll just Reddy, sir. Sir, can you please unmute yourself, sir?
myself or sorry?
Reddy, sir. Reddy, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So you have any questions, sir? Reddy, sir?
From my side, in the chat box, I think some one or two points are mentioned. The most interesting point is to Murali sir. Consider the competitors in the market when we begin the startups.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I'm hearing you. Sorry, what is the question?
Yeah. The question is,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Your
as a
your
startup
your
manager
voice.
or entrepreneur, what are the competitors?
Oh, your voice is cutting. Yeah, your voice is cutting, but I'm assuming you're trying to. The point is that
No, what kind of
about
strategies that we have to follow?
Yeah. Okay. Good point.
What kind of strategies
Yeah.
that we have to follow?
Yeah, I hear you. So, I think, I mean, I had this point as well. Unfortunately, because of time, I had to cut it off. So, I think the most important thing when you look at competition, of course, we need to one I spoke about already, that you need to make sure your user experience, the customer user experience, is much better to what the competition currently is, and identifying what segment you want to play. So depending on where your product, your company strategies, if you want to play in the premium category, you got to make sure that you give that premiumness. You also price your product premium to competition and give them the exact experience of what price you're charging against competition. So please understand, every product you give, the consumer is going to value it against your price. If you are giving a great price at a great product at lower price, a consumer will not give you that value. Consumer will always feel that there is some compromise which has happened, but how is it that you are getting at a lower price? So similar is the opposite. You give an average product at a higher premium price, they don't buy. So depending on which sort of uh, segment you want to play, you have to identify your competitors there and make sure your product is from a product or 4P point of view: product, price, promotion, and place. You are much better than competition, right? For example, I'll give you an example of levers. So levers, before they even launch a product, they make sure this product, before they even launch a marketing program, Unilever or Hindustan Unilever, they make sure the product is reaching to 20,000 outlets minimum in the country before they even start. So that is a competition barrier you create when you launch a product. So it's important that you sort of, identify what your strengths are, what your competition strengths are, do a SWOT you versus competition, and make sure you're positioned rightly to take on the competition.
So that's a good idea. And I think you covered every point related to the how to make a startup to get a success, which includes the product quality and the people, channel partners, technology, automation, and the organization culture, and all these. I think all the participants have enjoyed this. Vote of thanks. Meanwhile, all the participants are requested to stay back and do the feedback, and so that you will get the participation. Thanks to this beautiful event. I thank stay back, listen the event till the end, and also I just wanted to give a special thanks to our executive secretary for giving this particular platform and making this even more successful. I thanks to the today's resource person, the managing director of startup, Sajan M, for his valuable speech, how to make the business organization successful, particularly the startups. I thank the board members and the past president and the present president, Sudhir Sharma Garu, and then Nandagopal sir, for giving this opportunity to make this event more colorful. And also, I would like to thank the organizing team and technical and supporting people for making this event without any interruptions. And also, the managing partner and the co-partner of this particular event, Business Standard, they are giving a lot of support for us to make this event and publishing this event in the newspaper also. Thank you very much, and have a good day. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Pleasure talking to all of you. Thank you so much for staying up. Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.